does not make Bible reliable, but actually when archaeologists have dig the same areas and they have found that what is written in the Bible is true, it's an added piece of evidence for those who want an added piece of evidence. For somebody like us, we don't need any external evidence to believe Bible, because for us Bible is the absolute and whatever Bible says settles it. But a man like Albright, not necessarily he was, as somebody who was arguing for Bible, but what he said is very true. Even H.G. Wells, he was a professing atheist. He acknowledged that the four Gospels were certainly in existence a few decades after Christ's death. That's what he said. The four Gospels were certainly in existence a few decades, because Gospels were written 30, 20 years after Jesus Christ. So what he said is, in another sense what he was saying is, the conclusion is that the history of the Bible is written by eyewitnesses, therefore it is reliable. Of course, H.G. Wells didn't believe in God, but they were intellectually honest to say that, yes, what the Bible says is true. Some would raise the objection that though the original Bible story is historically correct, the copying and editing of these stories through centuries and millennium has corrupted it. People have changed the facts and we do not have a reliable Bible today. This is the objection often raised by the Muslims. It is possible, humanly speaking, to make changes by the copyist. However, that is not the fact. In 1947, 2 copies of the books of Isaiah were found from the Dead Sea area known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, from the Qumran Caves number 1. These copies were 1,000 years earlier than the oldest dated copies of Isaiah available at that time. Though 1,000 plus years lapsed between the Qumran manuscripts and the available manuscripts at that time, there was no difference between them. They proved to be a word for word identical with the book of Isaiah. More than 95% of everything was identical. The 5% variations consisted of the slips of the pen and a variation in spelling. That proves that the transmission of the biblical text was perfectly honest and reliable, There was people saying that the book of Isaiah was not written by the same Isaiah. Chapters 1 to 39 was written by one Isaiah. Then 40 to 66 were written by another Isaiah, whom they called Deutero-Isaiah. So the book of Isaiah was not genuine. They were saying that. The reason they say it is the style in those chapters, the first 40 chapters and the last 26 chapters, the style, the linguistic style is different. Well, I don't know. Then we got this Dead Sea Scrolls, 1,000 years older manuscripts, all 66 books, existing. So they were saying that, these Deutero-Isaiah was written some 200 or 300 years earlier and added to the book, and that story is gone, because 1,000 years older manuscripts contain 66 chapters of the Bible. So nobody speaks about today Deutero-Isaiah, Isaiah lives, but Deutero-Isaiah dies. The history of the Bible is a reliable record. So when somebody begs us to study the history of the world using Bible as the epicenter, we can come with a reliable history. Archaeology has consistently proved the truths of the biblical records. Nelson Glueck has said, it may be stated categorically that no archaeological discovery has ever controverted a biblical reference. That's what he says. It may be stated categorically that no archaeological discovery has ever controverted a biblical reference. Archaeology only proves. Simon Greenleaf of Harvard University, world's greatest 20th century authority on the law of evidence in the common law, he said, the competence of the New Testament documents would be established in any court of law. The competence of the New Testament documents would be established in any court of law. He was the greatest authority on the law of evidence in the 20th century. And he said, you can take the New Testament in any court of law And it will only prove that's a genuine historical record. Nobody can question it. While all sensible students of history agree that the Bible is a reliable historical record of events, the interpretation of all events not necessarily true. They point out to the claim of the deity of Jesus Christ. While the historicity of the person of Jesus Christ could be objective, how could we know objectively the deity of Jesus Christ? They say, is it not a subjective matter? True, Jesus lived. True, he had 12 disciples. True, Judas Iscariot John betrayed him. True, his body was missing. But how will you prove that he was God? Isn't that a subjective matter? Well, that's a good question. That's really a good question. God becoming man and coming to the earth, etc., is highly subjective, they say. There are people who even question the reliability of the existence of Jesus Christ. Well, forget about them. The historicity of Jesus Christ. No honest student of history could deny the historicity of Jesus Christ. However, they say that Bible is a religious book and therefore cannot be accepted as an objective record of Jesus Christ. Therefore, we would go outside the Bible to prove the historicity of Jesus Christ. Okay, say close the Bible. Close the Bible. Outside the Bible, is there any evidence Jesus Christ ever lived? Oh yes. Christ was treated as a historical person by early historians who were not Christians. In AD 93, the Jewish historian Josephus, he was an enemy of Christianity. He was an ardent enemy of Christianity, Josephus. He was a Roman historian, In his Antiquities of Jews, he made a statement. He recorded with the high priest Annas, he said, assembled the Sanhedrin of the judges and brought before them the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James. It's talking about the trial of James, the brother of. But he said that, the brother of Jesus was brought in. Jesus was such, known. It is good to observe here that Josephus was not in favor of Christianity, but he acknowledged. Another early historian, Cornelius Tacitus, he was not a Christian. He wrote around AD 112 about persons commonly called Christians, and also stated Christians, the founder of the name was called Christians, whose founder was Christ, was put to death by Pontius Pilate, procurator of Judea in the reign of Tiberius. So he acknowledged the fact that he was put to death by Pontius Pilate, and he was, and all those historical. Even he also says that Christ was put to death. There are many such secular references to the death of Jesus Christ. Christ was not known to Christians alone. Bruce Metzger has opined that the secular evidence for Christ are adequate to prove the historicity of Jesus Christ, that he lived in Palestine, had a group of disciples, was condemned by Pilate and crucified. I have a separate message on the historicity of Jesus Christ, in the Jesus of the history, not right from outside the Bible. Without using the Bible, you can prove that Jesus Christ lived and he died. And you can also logically and legally prove that Jesus Christ, is resurrected. His body was missing, but where did it go? That's a question, Who moved the stone? Who wrote that book? A famous book, Who Moved the Stone? No, Who Moved the Stone was, so it's a good book. The Bible gives great importance to the historicity of the resurrection. Luke mentions important persons in connection with the story of resurrection. Caesar, Herod, Pilate, Barabbas, Joseph, all the members of Sanhedrin, Joseph Arimathea. Makes many mentions of people who are, who are all involved in the story of resurrection. This resurrection did not happen in a vacuum. There were discussions going on, what happened to, and the people were trying to silence the historicity of the resurrection. There is a long list of people who have a close understanding of the bodily resurrection of Christ. 1 Corinthians 15:6 states that Christ appeared to more than 500 men at one time. Well, if 500 men, and Paul said that most of those people were living when Paul had written that. If anybody wanted to refute, they can just go and interview these people. Nobody could. The martyrdom of the 11 disciples of Jesus Christ is a question of great importance. Because who will die for a lie? Who will die for a lie? All these people were martyred for preaching Jesus Christ, died and rose again. At the time of their execution, if they only confess, sorry, we was making a lie, don't kill me, I'll tell you the truth. Jesus never rose again. They could have spared. Who will die for a lie? People lie only out of two reasons. Number one, they lie because of fear. If they say the truth, they will be in trouble. So they say the lie. Or for profit, they will say. But in this matter of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, if it was a lie, fear was for speaking the lie. They speak the truth. If Christ did not rise, if that was a lie, then they were all dying for the lie. They could have spoken the truth and avoided death. What is the profit for saying this lie? Death. Did anybody get money for saying this lie that Jesus rose again? No. So, the motivation for saying a lie is totally absent in the case of Jesus Christ. It must have been truth, because only people, his disciples were dying for this truth. If it was a lie, they won't die for it. So the martyrdom of the 11 disciples of Jesus Christ is a question of great importance. Who will die for a lie? The apostles opted to die only because Jesus had been a reality to them. It is amazing how the disciples of the Lord, who were so scared about the whole incident of arrest and trial, and crucifixion, who ran away from the Lord, now gathered together after the resurrection. What is the motivation for their courage? That's the question. Everyone, with the exception of one, John, all his disciples deserted him. Only a handful of women and John standing there. What brought them together? If Jesus Christ never rose again, why did they come together? What brought them together? So people cannot answer these questions, What actually transformed them is a big question. If it is not for the resurrection of the Lord, what else? There is no answer. There is no reasonable answer for that question. Our faith in Jesus Christ is no different today. We know for sure that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. Our faith is grounded in the historicity of Jesus Christ. Since Jesus Christ has defeated sin and Satan, since Jesus Christ is victorious over death, our faith in Jesus Christ is absolutely certain. The outcome of world history is an absolute certainty for us. The preaching of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, think for a moment it is a lie. It's a blatant lie. This lie was preached all over the world, and it changed the whole world.
What a lie.
What a lie. And millions of Christians have really died for this lie. Well, yes. We know from the past history, especially from the incarnation, life, death and burial and resurrection of Jesus Christ, that the historicity of the world is on a definite path where the ultimate victory is on Christ's side. Therefore it is on our side. The story of Jesus confirmed to us the truth that all things work together for God's glory and for our blessings. You look at the world today, it's true that the world has gone back, the Europe has rejected Christianity. It's the post-Christian era today in Europe, and yes, but yet, You can travel more freely in Europe than you travel in Africa or in India, you know. Yes, a tourist is a lot more, you know, the Christian influence there, you know. A Christian influence there is seen even when they have rejected Christ and the Bible, still the ethics still remains there. People are more free, there is more security, you know. The chances of somebody coming and pickpocketing you there in Europe, some country, is less than somebody is being pickpocketed in Africa or in Asia. You know, it never happened, you know, never happens actually. It never happens. What makes the difference? Difference is Christianity and Christ. So from the Christian perspective, the history of the world is an unfolding of God's will in the affairs of mankind. That's what history is. From a Christian perspective, the history of the world is an unfolding of God's will concerning the mankind. What is God's will for mankind? That's what the history is. That's what history is. Yes. Since all things work together for good, our ultimate hope is definite. It is that God's will usher in a golden era of divine kingdom where there would be perfect peace, prosperity, power and goodness of God. Millennium. This cursed earth with all its evils is going to give birth to another golden era. You know, of course, it doesn't come by accident. The Lord is going to bring it. What a wonderful thing it is, isn't it? The Marxian, Hegelian, humanist outlook has nothing to offer to mankind. You read through those. They speaks about utopia. They all speaks about utopia. When, you know, equality will be established in this world, where all the bourgeoisie's head will be chopped off, they expect that there will be an utopia. You have all the people in the world line up. Then you decide what should be the height of everybody. 5 feet 6 inches. Then you chop off above 5 feet 6 inches everybody. You know, that's their... You think that there will be utopia there? There will be no utopia there, you know. You take your hand and chop off every finger to the height of this finger, so that every finger will be equal length. You think there will be utopia in your life? No. It's a diversity that makes the beauty. It's a diversity. If the whole face was an eye or a nose, what is beauty? What is beauty? Beauty is defined as the proportional harmony of every part of human body. The proportional harmony, you know. Your nose has to have the proportional size with your head. If the nose is bigger than for the proportion, then you are not beautiful. Your eye, your everything. So that's where it is. So only in the millennium that is going to come. Everybody is a proportional harmony, you know. Everything will be, the Lord knows how, you know. You go to a garden, there are big trees, small trees. If there are only small plants, the garden will not be beautiful. The garden's beauty is that it is harmoniously existing. So Christianity believes in that, you know. Christianity believes in that. There is room for everybody. And nobody should exploit anybody. Harmonious sharing and mutual appreciation, mutual dependence. You know, every trade is dignified. Nobody can look down upon anybody. You know, everybody depend upon everybody. Yes. You know, to some people, some profession is not that good, you know. They think that. Well, you think of people who do that profession out of existence in India. What will you do? What will you do? You'll be miserable. You will be very, very miserable. Even if the barbers are gone out, there is nobody got barber. Barber is not, it's a trade profession. But nobody likes, you know, barber profession. So, you know, when I think all we will cut our own hair. We will cut our own hair. Well, then either everybody has to become a barber. That means everybody is cutting somebody's hair. Instead of replacing some professional barbers, everybody has become amateur barbers. That won't be a better world. No. So anyway, people to climb up on a coconut tree, I often think that, what we will do. Coconuts are there. You are praying and waiting for a coconut to come down so that you can make some chutney or something. How thankful I am for the people who climb coconut trees. We look down upon them. Don't look down upon them. Well, usually people look up to them because they are top. They are the ones who look down upon people. We need everybody. We need everybody. So the Bible is a beautiful book where, every profession, every human being is brought to that one. The beauty of the millennium is that everybody has room. Everybody has room. No profession is nobler than any other profession. No, every profession has its dignity. And that's a wonderful time looking forward to. Well, we don't know where we will be. I believe we'll be in heaven where even we don't have these needs. So what's the purpose in history? According to Christian worldview of history, every moment and every event in our lives have eternal significance. You think of that statement. Every moment and every event in our life has eternal significance. You ever thought about it? Every moment and every event. It has an eternal significance. That particular event sometimes decides what direction you will take. You will take. Yes. Suppose, in your 10th class or your 12th grade or wherever, you did not get the marks that you got today, your destiny would have been different. Yes. So the Lord changed. Everything is significant. Every single event is significant. Even eating, drinking or anything. That's why Bible says do it for the glory of God. God's glory is tied down with every single event. Yes. The death of a person or the birth of a person. The success or the failure. Everything has historical significance, I say eternal significance. Think of the birth of anybody, anybody who made history, even others who didn't make history, it's significant. So this is what makes our life meaningful, meaningful. When I realize that everything that happens in my life is historically important and eternally significant, then how will I manage my life? If I am aware and conscious that every moment in my life is very important, history is being fabricated every moment and eternal significance. Yes? I will be more sensitive and I will be more conscious and I will be have greater awareness of the significance of the moment and I will behave much better. Behave much better. Some of our lives do not become that meaningful in our own viewpoint is simply because we don't realize this event. Little thing. A sinner came at the feet of Jesus, she wept there and she wiped with the tears. What eternal significance that event had?
Wherever the gospel reaches, she will be known.
Yes. That's another event, where Mary has anointed the feet of Jesus. Great significance. Martha made a feast, that's significant. What event is not? You read through the Gospels, everything that happened was just casual thing, right? A boy was there with the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Did his mother realize that this is going to be a very great thing in the world and then it's going to be written in the Gospels and it's going to be referred for years and years and years, then I think she would not have packed that 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Probably she would have made a bigger lunch or something. But little insignificant action of a mother And little insignificant, response of a boy. Probably they asked, anybody got food? And this boy said, I got 5 loaves and 2 fishes here. Hand over to them. Think of that. Think of that. There was a woman who was sick for some 12 or 13 years, with hemorrhage and all. She came and touched on Jesus' hems. It's a historical reality. Did she ever realize that it will be? Every event in the Bible recorded in the Gospels and all, they were not unique in themselves when it happened. Ordinary events. But all those ordinary events have eternal significance. So what I say is we are, creators of history. If we are conscious, everything that's going to take place in my life, everything I say, everything I eat, do, where I go, I come, has eternal perspective, then how carefully I will be behaving. Then the history of this world would be a little different also, actually, Yes. C.S. Lewis rightly said, there can be no accidents or loose ends, nothing whatever of which we can safely use the word merely. Nothing is merely a byproduct of anything else. All results are intended from the first. So C.S. Lewis, he said that there is nothing called merely, by accident, by chance. There is no such thing of a loose ends, no accidents. Everything has a meaning and purpose. The thing is, we don't accept it as such, the meaning and purpose, Yes? Think of Hannah not having a child. For years and years she is suffering the shame from the hands of Peninnah, And then one day she came and she has seen how the Eli's sons were misbehaving there. Very bad stories spreading. Her heart was grieved and he said, if Lord you give me a child, I will give him for your ministry in the temple. He will serve you. The way things are going here is not good. The Lord heard it. There is a woman who is grieved about what is happening in the temple, the abuse that were going there. So here is a woman who wanted to contribute to correct the situation. God honored it. So was it a casual event? No. That changed the history of Israel itself. Samuel, what a great man. He only anointed David as king, even Saul as king. He's no ordinary man. So the fact that for a long time Hannah didn't have a child was not an accident. Yes, it was not an accident. Yes. The Lord honors, So C.S. Lewis is very, very correct. Nothing is merely a byproduct of anything else. No. Every event is a single event in itself. Every single event. Romans 8:28 has this consistent worldview of all things. All things work together for good. It's no ordinary loose statement. Our accidents and our sicknesses and our failures and our successes, our gains and our losses, in our mistakes, all work together for good. Of course, such a statement could be said boldly only about the elect who love God. Yes. Because all things work together for good to those who love God, even, those who are called by His purpose. Yes. That's no ordinary statement. That's a great statement. Looking back in my own life, I can say that all things work together for good. Yes. The guiding hands of the Lord I could see very clearly. Some things I said, my failure, or others said it's your failure. As the years went by, I could say that that was a hand of God. He failed me there because he wanted me. Of course he can get me, but little more pressure has to be applied on me to change my plans and, courses. Yes.
What about the sins that are done by the people?
Well, God is never a party to sin. So our moral failures, God even works together, but God will never put a premium upon our moral failures. But think of David and Bathsheba and the births of Solomon.